And good morning to you. I'm meteorologist Jaclyn Whittal. It is a Tuesday and we have lots to talk about. Storm watch. We'll talk about where, when, and why we're giving extra attention to Ontario. Spring outlook revealed at 3 minutes past the hour. That's great news. We'll let you know what you can expect with your spring and just a sneak peek, and then you'll have details this evening at about 9 p.m. for your specific region. Plus, we have must-see videos, including a volcano in Chile. All right, our storm watch coverage begins right now. All right, let's get into it. Freezing rain warnings now extending from Windsor all the way to Hamilton. We talked about this yesterday, about this warm air mixing in with this system from London to Chatham to Windsor. These roads are likely going to be very nasty as the morning goes on. Watching it on radar, this is the latest shot through Indiana and Michigan. Some heavy snow likely, but also something we call bright banding. And thanks to Brett Soderholm, one of our meteorologists, for talking me through about this. Just as a reminder, this is when the radar is picking up on melting precipitation. You can see that pink, so that's likely mixed precipitation, maybe some freezing rain in there. But sometimes the shininess to the precipitation will bounce back at that radar and indicate that it's picking up heavier snow. Not necessarily the case, so we'll watch for that bright banding as that moves through Ontario later today. You can see that light snow already pushing through areas like London and Windsor, but very light at this point. But as we get into the afternoon, the heavy snow right through central Ontario, and then there you go, the mixed precipitation from Hamilton back to the west through London. Now looking at the potential for rain just along the Erie shoreline into the evening hours. Okay, so 5 to 10 centimeters of snow. That's the forecast. That's how much is going to start this event, and then it'll switch over. Okay, let's show you this must-see video, though. First, nope, that's in California, people hitting the beach and maybe having a bit of fun. The kids are like, hey, this is kind of like snow, where they normally don't get snow, but it's hail. All right, windy conditions. We've already had gusts of 127 kilometers an hour through Twillingate. This next storm, that's the same one that's moving through Ontario. That will be a big storm for you in Atlantic Canada by Wednesday and Wednesday evening. Now, this round of snow that we're seeing on radar is purely sea effect right now. So we have some wraparound moisture. You can actually see the circulation in the clouds. Do you see that kind of movement? It's doing one of these. That's the ocean water basically rising, and we're seeing convection over the water, and we get, just like lake effect snow, sea effect snow. So 5 to 10 centimeters, generally speaking, through much of Newfoundland, and then down towards the south. This is with the next storm, 5 to 10 centimeters of snow on the way. And yeah, it's shorts wearing weather, very spring-like. -9 for you in Calgary, but big changes on the way for you as well. We'll be right back. Well, good morning. It's me, Jaclyn Whittal, meteorologist here at the Weather Network, and you're watching Storm Watch because we have a big system that's moving up into Ontario, bringing with it snow. And in fact, I just got a report from Tony in Windsor. Thanks a lot on Twitter. Tony says heavy bursts of snow happening in Windsor. Make sure you give yourself lots of time if you're driving anywhere down in extreme southern Ontario. Let's talk about the snow on radar, and we'll get into it here. So there you go. You can see the heaviest bands now just pushing through Essex County, through Chatham, Sarnia's. It's sort of knocking on your door. Don't pay too much attention to this darker blue color. That looks like it's, maxing out on our reflectivity here on our radar. But what it sometimes is snow actually melting. And when the snow is shinier, if you will, if you think about it melting, the radar it'll beam back to the radar as much more heavier snow, but sometimes that's not actually what's going on. Sometimes we don't even have a lot of the precipitation reaching the ground. We've had reports of that this morning too. Freezing rain warning. Once it does hit the ground, it could be freezing on contact. So if we get that partial melt of our snowflake or a full melt, it's going to be messy out on those roads when it freezes on contact. And that's from Hamilton, the Golden Horseshoe, all the way down into extreme southern Ontario along the Detroit River there in Windsor. London into, let's say, Windsor by this afternoon, and maybe just a little bit further north in areas like Woodstock, but then snow for everybody else. So if you live in Toronto, if you live in the eastern parts of the GTA, it's just straight snow for this event to start. Then we switch over to that freezing rain potential this evening, and then through Wednesday morning, it looks like Toronto and the eastern parts of Ontario and central Ontario are all going to be just staying as snow. So let's take a look at the watches and warnings here. Winter storm warnings with this pink color, and then we have blowing snow advisories on the western shores of Newfoundland. Today, we're looking at sea effect snow. So we have that really strong northwesterly flow, 60 km and above, but we've already had wind gusts in Twillingate at 127 kilometers an hour. So So that's picking up the moisture over the ocean, and we're seeing some sea effect, just like lake effect snow. So 10 to 15 centimeters is in the forecast for the southern point of Newfoundland, and then the 5 to 10 that you see down here, that's the next storm. That's the storm that's in Ontario currently that will be making its way into Atlantic Canada by tomorrow. Here's your temperatures: -9 in Quebec, -5 for you in Montreal, and good morning in Sherbrooke. It's about -6. And it's erupting. It was erupting in the evening hours. What an incredible shot. That is one of our must-see videos today, and here's why. This was 20 kilometers south of Pucón, Chile. I think I'm saying that right. And then it was seen 100 kilometers away in Temuco. We actually had one of our meteorologists that was just visiting the area not only a couple weeks ago, and his family is still down there. Not exactly in that area, but 150 kilometers, I think Brett said that he was near that. So just an incredible story. You know, we haven't heard much about damage quite yet, but I'm sure that'll be coming out soon. Minus 32 in Regina this morning. Good morning to you. Grab that parka. Yellowknife -39 and -23 in Calgary. So much colder, but don't get too used to that because spring temperatures do return into the west as our jet stream changes pattern a little bit. And speaking of the jet stream and our spring outlook, we'll let you know in your backyard what you can expect 9 p.m. tonight. Storm watch coverage continues here on this Tuesday. I'm meteorologist Jaclyn Whittal, and we'll talk about why we're in storm watch in Ontario because of messy systems on the way. Spring outlook, who's looking forward to that one? I am. That'll be revealed at about 3 minutes past the hour, and tonight at 9 p.m. as well. Tune in again because you'll get a more detailed look in your own backyard what you can expect for spring, because of course no forecast is going to apply right across the country, right? Patterns change, and whether you're in a cold pattern or warm pattern, we have those details. Must-see video, Volcano in Chile. Looks like everybody got out in time. They were evacuated, but we'll talk about that. All right, so let's show you some beautiful footage here. You know that there's been some heavy snowbursts already this morning, thanks to Tony for letting me know on Twitter. So if you want to get involved in the Twitter conversation, hashtag it #ONStorm. Or if you want to talk about the spring forecast or when you're looking forward to spring, hashtag that one, TWN Spring. Okay, so this afternoon we have that mixing line down through London and Windsor, Chatham, Essex County, and then as we get into the evening hours, all of that will start to lift north. In fact, along the Erie shoreline, we're looking at straight rain, so you can see how much mild air is working its way into this system. So southerly flow, yeah, we'll be warming up. Could we break that 37-day trend of being below zero in Toronto? I don't know. Maybe we might get up to about -1 or 0, but it'll be late in the day, and that's when you can see that mixing line, that warmer air advecting north. Through tomorrow morning, it's all going to be straight snow. If you live in Toronto or east or in central Ontario, you will not likely get that freezing rain or mixed precipitation. And another 5 to 10 centimeters of snow on the way. So two different systems to talk about here. This one is the same one that was through Newfoundland yesterday, and we're watching this wraparound wind direction bringing in some sea effect, 10 to 15 centimeters along the southern shores of Newfoundland. Now 5 to 10 centimeters down through the Maritimes with the next storm that's on the way. So same storm that's in Ontario. Could we see some mixing with that one in Atlantic Canada? It's possible, maybe down through Yarmouth, but it'll be very short-lived that you're in that warm sector. This is the warm part of the storm. I just followed that along as it kept rolling. Winds will be a lot calmer with that next storm as well. The one in Newfoundland, of course, today much stronger winds. Chile, erupting volcano in the evening hours. Everybody got out. From what I understand, there were, just thousands of people evacuated from their homes when they were on a red alert. This happened at 3:51 a.m. Local time. This was 100 kilometers away from a town called Temuco, and this is Pucón, Chile. I hope I said that right. 20 kilometers south of that actual area. And again, we haven't heard any major damage at this point. We'll be back to talk about storm watch next. Okay, we're in storm watch. It's a Tuesday. Lots to get into. We'll talk about a messing system that's moving through southern Ontario. Lots of sunshine and warm temperatures on the west coast. The prairies just frigid. And the Maritimes, all of that storm activity expected to reach you. Spring outlook, when is the good news, right? That's what everybody wants to know. Well, 3 minutes past the hour, you can get your spring outlook. And at 9 p.m. tonight, you can also. Dan Martin, one of our writers here at TWN, said he was looking at his app. Hey, Jaclyn, is it true that we're going to be up around 5-6 degrees? What date was that, Dan, that you were asking me about?
I think it was the 14th or the 15th.
14th or the 15th of March. And I said, I don't know why. And he said, hope. people. We're all just looking for hope here. Yeah, 5-6 degrees. What would we do with that? It would feel amazing, right? All right, let's get you into the weather side of the story. This is a segment I like to call the System Showdown, where we get you in front of all the storms that we're talking about. Very quiet on the West Coast. Just a little bit of cloud cover. That's it. All right, let's take you to this video first. Big winds. Sean Etheridge, thanks for sending this in. Take a look at this. I saw a shot of an elderly lady at her back door on Twitter, and the snow was about this high. So just incredible. The winds piling up that snow. Next storm will bring another fresh 10 to 15 centimeters for you in Newfoundland, along with those wind gusts that will be starting to taper off, but really peaking out as Twillingate already saw 127 kilometer an hour wind gusts. This is the next storm that's in Ontario right now. This is the next storm that's in Ontario right now. So you don't have to worry about this until this evening into Wednesday. That's really when your story begins. So there's the departing low. Let's turn our attention to this low. And we'll take you to Elmira, Ontario first. We're going to see snow mixing out with some rain. So this is how these things work. Everywhere north of the warm front usually is where we have our colder winds. Now, I know our winds are coming out of the south right now because we have a bigger low up to the north. However, what it is going to do is it's going to create enough of a temperature difference that anywhere here will be falling as snow first. That's this afternoon. If I pause this is what we call the warm sector. That's where we're going to be switching over to rain, potentially freezing rain. And that, we'll time that out for you right now. You can see this afternoon, London all the way down to Windsor. That's where that freezing rain potential is. Up through the north, central Ontario, eastern Ontario, all straight snow for this entire event for you likely. Hamilton, though, you're in the freezing rain warning. Same with you in Windsor. Be careful out there on those roads. It's going to be nasty. And why do we have less than 5 centimeters for Windsor and more like 10 over here? Because that's where the warmer air is going to be in play. That's where we're talking about that mixing. Let's continue to track west, and not a real system to really break down for you. It's more about high pressure building into the prairies, lots of clearing. Overnight temperatures, though, you ready for it? Minus 40s. That's how it's going to feel in Regina and Saskatoon. And let's continue west a little bit more. Just a bit of cloud cover for you in Vancouver. Temperatures are going to be gorgeous, about 9 degrees, lots of sunshine. That ridge is going to continue to nudge eastward. But will it be warm enough to get rid of this stuff? No, this is on the way, and our storm watch coverage continues. Storm watch coverage continues on this Tuesday morning for a juicy system moving up from the states that'll affect Ontario. The reason I say juicy, a lot of moisture attached to this one and warm air. Boy, it's been some time since we've had warm air. Well, as a result, everything will start as snow. This will start around late morning for extreme southern Ontario into the early afternoon for the GTA. Will be all straight snow, but from London down to Windsor, that's where we're watching the freezing rain potential, and it's a very likely potential. So do note that your drive will be just atrocious. We've had it with this winter weather. We now are going to give you your first look at our spring outlook. Here it is. Good morning. I'm meteorologist Jaclyn Whittal, and here are some of our top stories that we're focusing on. Storm watch, where, when, and why. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about a big system that's moving through the Maritimes, so not only just Ontario, but into the Maritimes next. Spring outlook revealed as well. That's at 3 minutes past the hour, and a must-see video of Volcano in Chile. Our storm watch coverage begins now. All right, so a messy system on tap for Ontario. In fact, the heavy snow already is in Essex County, down through Chatham, Windsor, London, Sarnia, and then all of this expected to nudge up toward Toronto. It'll start as snow this afternoon, probably around that noon hour, and it'll be heavy bursts of snow when it does arrive. Now, south of, say, Hamilton this afternoon, we're going to see a lot of mixing, maybe even some freezing rain. Not a maybe, probably a good chance of that freezing rain along the 401 corridor. Be careful out there. That freezing rain potential is going to lift north up through Toronto by this evening. But again, you'll stay in snow all this region, so no freezing rain for you. The focus is down through extreme southern Ontario, even some rain along the Erie shoreline possible as well. 5 to 10 centimeters of snow, same deal. Up through Kingston. All right, let's take you now to California on Huntington Beach, where kids are having fun, maybe making some beachmen. That's like snowmen, but on the beach. I just made that up, if you can't tell. All right, we have a westerly flow around this low that is departing. Strong winds. We've already actually reported wind gusts, or seen reported wind gusts of 127 kilometers an hour in Twillingate. The next storm that you just saw roll down my screen, that's the low that's in Ontario that will push into the Maritimes next. It won't be nearly as windy, which is good. 10 to 15 centimeters of snow from the St. Lawrence area all the way back to the west. And then 5 to 10 centimeters of snow through Yarmouth and Halifax and parts of New Brunswick. With that, we're looking at accumulating snows for Wednesday, so it's not going to start until tomorrow for you. Good morning to you in Winnipeg. Minus 15, bundle up. Winds at about 30K. It's cold. High pressure really settling in for a visit this morning. In Regina, minus 32, minus 34 up through the extreme northern parts. We've had lots of warm days. You're going to get back into some warmer temperatures, but not today. This morning, only minus 16, feeling like minus 23. With that wind chill. Minus 20 for Grand Prairie, plus 3 for Vancouver, and a plus 4 on the west coast. All right. And it's nice to have you along. Let's get you in front of the weather on this Tuesday. It's a messy system making its way on up in Ontario. We have snow, rain, freezing rain, everything but the kitchen sink with this one. You know, and really this happens this time of year, right? When we start to work with a little bit more mild air, moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. We're in that transitional season as we are just weeks away from the first day of spring. Speaking of which, if you stick around at 03 or 3 minutes past the hour, we'll have an early look at your spring outlook, and then at 9 p.m. tonight you can get all the details you need to know for your own regional forecast needs, so in your own backyard. So tune in at 9 p.m. tonight as well. There's a look at the radar, and that's the storm that we're tracking. So all straight snow for Barrie, Toronto, Algonquin, Kingston. For the entire event, you're going to stay in snow. This is where it gets tricky. South of the Golden Horseshoe, southwest back to west in Windsor and down along Lake down to Lake St. Clair. We're looking at a precipitation forecast with freezing rain or even straight rain in the forecast. So it shows you how much mild air is being wrapped into this low. It already is raining in the States, and there's some icing going on as well. Areas like London and Windsor now getting into some heavy rounds of snow. So think about all the snow kind of lifting like this, and then it'll all stay as snow there. Hamilton, London, freezing rain. I imagine your commute home today, if it's been a good one on the way in, don't think it's going to be the same on the way out. It's going to be a long drive. It's going to be slippery. Be careful out there. Give yourself lots of extra time. We're almost to spring, folks. 5 to 10 centimeters of snow in the forecast if you are getting straight snow. And then we take it to the East Coast, where the storm, once it makes its way into Yarmouth and Halifax by Wednesday morning and afternoon hours, it won't be as windy. That's basically what this product is showing you. However, no shortage of snow. 10 to 15 centimeters of snow down the southern shores of Newfoundland. And then down through Yarmouth and Halifax, we're looking at 5 to 10 centimeters. Charlottetown, not so much for you. Maybe just about 5 centimeters. And I think that's all you need. You have 396 centimeters of snow for the whole season so far. And that's the third snowiest season on record. Could you make the top one, the number one spot this season? I think you're about 50 centimeters away, and then you're going to do it. Let's hope not, but you could do it. Pretty fascinating. Okay, this is fascinating as well. Yeah, it's a volcano in Chile that erupted at about 4 a.m. local time, about 3:51 a.m. And this area where this volcano was, well, it had a red alert for everybody that lives there, so everybody got out and evacuated appropriately. 20 kilometers south of Pucón, Chile, 100 kilometers away from Temuco. And again, what's interesting too is that the prevailing winds, the westerly winds, a lot of this ash and moving it into Argentina. So it really, you know, the winds play such a role when it comes to ash clouds and distributing that particulate matter in the atmosphere and where it goes next. Minus 32 in Regina. Good morning to you. Ouch, that's cold. Minus 39 up through the north and minus 23 for you in Calgary. Calgarians are thinking, wait a minute, we're more used to 6s, 7s, plus 8. That's coming back. Vancouver, you haven't really varied too much from those temperatures. In fact, you've seen days of 13, 14 degrees. This temperature product here is showing you that, yeah, a lot of that cold air, that blue, is still going to be locked up for the better part of this week. But as we get into next week, you are going to be warming up, and that's good news. You'll be back around that maybe 8-9 degrees in the long-range forecast. Wednesday, here's our highlight map showing the system, of course, moving into Atlantic Canada, another one down towards the south. We'll be right back. And it's a Tuesday. Stormwatch coverage continues on the Weather Network. I'm meteorologist Jaclyn Whittal. Where, when, and why are we in Stormwatch? Well, I'll give you a hint. Ontario and freezing rain. Never a good blend. All right, spring outlook revealed at 3 minutes past the hour. That's great news. Maybe you're looking forward to finding out when the snow will be melting. Well, Chris Scott and Chris St. Clair will have those details. Must-see video of Volcano in Chile. We'll talk about that. But first, a good morning in Oakville. Yeah, in the sky, and that's a sign that a warm front is moving in, a system's moving in, and it is because today We're going to see bursts of heavy snow. We're already seeing it down in Windsor and up through southern Ontario. But through central Ontario and east, it will all remain snow. And again, it could be heavy bursts of it, generally about 5 to 7 centimeters for Toronto. Down toward the south, less, because you notice this red color, that's some mixed precipitation that's moving in. And so that means the potential for freezing rain or even ice pellets. Either way, the roads are not going to be good. I can't even imagine the 401 in through London later on today, this evening. Give yourself lots of extra time. So much warm air that we could even see a little bit of straight rain along the Erie shoreline. And it's been a long time since we've seen some rain in Ontario. In fact, I'll remind everybody, it's been 37 days since we've been above zero. Don't change the channel. And we've got more on the way. By the way, PEI is now at 396 centimeters of snow for the season. That is the third all-time heaviest snowfall on record. Could they make the top #1 spot by the end of the season? Not out of the question. Okay, they have about 50 centimeters more or so to go. Today, we're talking about 10 to 15 centimeters for this evening in through Wednesday for the southern shores of Newfoundland, and 5 to 10 centimeters for the Maritimes, with a couple things, some sea-effect snow moving in off this one, but not a whole lot. The bulk of the moisture will be this storm. You can see that will lift, and all this, imagine, is snow. These are the winds. What we're indicating here is the winds will be a lot less than the current storm that just moved through this volcano, so that's good. Everybody got out, but imagine the damage, the lava flow. Something they call pyroclastic flow can just be lethal when it comes to homes and you know, destruction. 20 kilometers south of Pucón, Chile, and it was 100 kilometers away from Temuco. If you're familiar with those areas, it happened at about 10. And get ready for more shorts-wearing weather. 8 degrees in Victoria this afternoon, 8 for you in Vancouver. Oh, -9 in Calgary. And yeah, temperatures really cold through the prairies, feeling like the -40 mark, but it won't last long. A warm-up is on the way. Don't go away. Storm watch coverage continues on this Tuesday morning for a juicy system moving up from the States that'll affect Ontario. The reason I say juicy, a lot of moisture attached to this one and warm air. Boy, it's been some time since we've had warm air.